Race is a term categorizing human beings was first used in English language in the 16th century. It is no surprise it was the start of European colonization of the world. 16th century onwards, diverse people around the world were seen by the Europeans as inferior, uncivilized, and savages. There was slavery. The resources such as cotton, sugar, and spices needed exploitation of local people. By classifying and categorizing them as inferior and different race, the Europeans justified such an exploitation. It was built into the laws of the European colonies around the world. The common factor of the people that were local people that were in the society were not white. Non-whites had separate schools with very limited resources. Property in certain parts of the European colonies, wealthy parts of the European colonies, were reserved for whites only. The natives could not buy property in certain parts of the land of their birth. They could not vote. Democracy was reserved for whites only. In the years from 16th century, non-white people traveled to Europe and United Kingdom as servants of Europeans, as students, and as trusted traders. There was American Civil War. Africa was carved up into the colonies of Spain, France, Italy, Germany, Belgium, and a straight line through the borders by the European powers at the Berlin Conference in 1884 and 1885. It created the African nations and states as we know them today. Fast forward to 20th century, we have segregation in the United States, separate development in the British colonies, and apartheid in South Africa. Nazis claimed to be a master race in the Second World War. Today, we have non-whites as neighbors of Anglo-Saxon and Celtic whites in Britain. Anti-racism is not about recognizing that there's only one human race, but it is about overcoming the psyche that race is assigned by color. We all have it. In apartheid South Africa, went beyond color. A pencil was put through the hair of a light-skinned person with curly hair to ascertain that they weren't descendants of black South Africans. Human beings of different colors are not even different species. Biologically, different species such as lions and tigers can mate, but cannot produce a fertile offspring. Human beings of different color can. The scars of the history has affected us all. The pseudo-scientific categorization of race has made us believe that somebody of different color is a different race. David R. Roendinger, professor of American Studies at Kansas University, had said, quote, "The world got along without race for the overwhelming majority of its history. United States has always had it," unquote. It's not surprising. After all, United States came into existence as a result of European colonization. Anti-racism requires all of us to acknowledge that these 5 centuries of history and constant reinforcement by the society of existence of race has made us all racists. We make assumptions based on skin color. I'm brown, and I'm asked about far-flung places on the assumption that I must be expert on those places because the majority of population in that place is brown. How wrong can one be? An academic friend of mine, a senior scientific person, I've known him for over 40 years. Recently at a social function asked me, do you get to go home often? Yes, I said, I live around the corner. You know where I live. He went all red, as only white people can. A few days later, I saw him in a local shop, and he apologized, saying, I put my foot in it, did I not? So I said, yes, you did rather. He says to me, as a means of explanation, I only wanted to talk to you about my holiday to India. I said, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, I said. You put your foot in it again. I have never been to India. This kind of discourse is based on an assumption that I am brown, therefore I would want to talk about his holiday to India, and my home is India. Subliminally and historically, he's made to think that I am the other, an outsider. But more importantly, it gives me the message that I do not belong. People of any skin color can be any religion. They can change their religion. They can be atheist. They can have any nationality. They can change their nationality with difficulty. They can have, and do in fact have, different culture to that of their parents and their grandparents. The most common factor, most visible factor that they would have inherited would be the color of their skin. People of different color of skin are not even, if they have same color of skin, they are not even a homogeneous group. In the United Kingdom, we have created a confusion, and words such as race, color, and immigrant are used interchangeably. A brown friend of mine, many generations, family history in the United Kingdom, got a nice house in the rural chocolate box village in Hampshire, UK. At a garden party, the local vicar said, this village is very tolerant of immigrants, is it not? My friend said, I do not know. I am not an immigrant. In any case, we tolerate something that is undesirable. Tell me what is undesirable about immigrants. Obviously, this was a clumsy attempt by the local vicar to acknowledge the fact that one of the neighbors was brown. Anti-racism is recognizing that the language matters. Even when we are talking about weather in the United Kingdom. It must be hot where you come from, I'm told. I suppose I am. I suppose it is. I only live on the south coast. Anti-racism is about acting to eliminate disparity between white and non-white people, to redress centuries of discrimination, which has resulted in poor outcomes for the non-white people. For instance, underrepresentation at the most senior level of our organizations and society is a symptom. If a non-white person gets a junior position in a company or an organization which claims that they are an equal opportunities employer, the person may leave after a few months or few years because the culture of the organization can make them feel that they do not belong. We end up not having any junior person to promote to the senior level. The culture of the organization has to change. Instead of promising equality, they have to practice equity. The historic cause of this disparity is never addressed. If you look at it, we still look for people, and instead of looking for people, non-white people with the skills, we still have a mindset of training non-white people on the assumption that that diaspora does not have the necessary skills. Anti-racism is about not being a bystander. Challenging inappropriate behavior, challenging inappropriate language whenever it is witnessed. A group of white people talking disparagingly about non-white people, when one of them may have a non-white partner, or one of them may have a non-white heritage. Challenging it, we must all challenge it, and not let that individual suffer in silence. We should all examine ourselves and not assume or stereotype people based on colors. Treat people as your neighbors. They have different, same, or similar interests. Find out their interests. Do not assume that they will be able to talk about places or society that you are curious about. People just want to belong. They want to talk about a subject or a topic they are not interested in. A man cannot assume that another man likes football, even if they come from a football-mad cities such as Liverpool and Manchester in the United Kingdom. You can't ask, which football team do you support? Unless, of course, they are at a football match, and in which case they'll be showing their color. And if they are supporting the opposing teams, they'll be segregated. There's only one human race. Human race is diverse. It has got a lot of skills and a lot of interests, but none of them are based on the color of their skin. Anti-racism is to create equity as distinct from equality. We can all do it. We need to treat people as people. They have diverse interests and diverse skills. And again, I repeat, none of them are dependent on the color of their skin. To quote Martin Luther King Jr., I look to the day when people will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. Non-white people referred to in the UK as African Caribbean, Chinese, or Asians face the question, who are you? Almost on a daily basis, in different iterations, like where do you come from? Well, who are you? The answer is not the color of your skin, because I can see it. Nor is it nationality, nor religion, nor my false perception of your race. The real challenge is, where do you belong? You, my friends, are my neighbors. I am your neighbor. I belong amongst you. Thank you.